register.
That's why I like the countdown. Oh, we're live. Now if Tyler can figure out how to get a countdown, it would be awesome because we're being awesome together. Welcome to the Digital Media Tracks live stream on Wednesdays between the con, but not during the con. But anyway, we're here tonight with Scott Moore, who's going to try to teach me how to edit a podcast step by step. Hilarity is going to ensue. Just get prepared, get your popcorn and your favorite beverage.
Yep. So just a little bit of my background
Yes,
for anyone
please.
watching this that doesn't know me. I used to edit for the Blood Crow Stories, which is basically a radio play in podcast format. I edited, I did all the audio production. I recorded, edited, mixed, mastered, did some music composition, sound effects, whole 9 yards. I currently edit for the Goblins and Growlers podcast, which is a D&D based podcast where they talk about the latest D&D news and all sorts of information around the TTRPG universe. And occasionally edit for Quid Pro Roll, which is also a live play D&D adventure, and dozens of other things that I can't think of at the moment.
And he might have done a little work for the track last year, editing a gazillion YouTube videos.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm loud enough. If everything's good, let us know in the comments. So yeah, I've been an editor for 6 years now, going on 6 years, something like that. So
That's a long time.
yeah, I know a thing or two. So what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to at least start the early stages of editing Tyra's podcast, Geek Meets Social. If you want to plug that, Tyra, for yourself.
GeekMeetSocial.com. Thank you.
So the way we've kind of structured this is essentially Tyra is my client. I am the editor. We have already discussed terms and everything like that.
Yeah, pay your editors, people.
Yes. Yes, pay your editors. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Oh, yay, Sarah.
Am I feeding? I feel like I'm feeding back here.
I don't hear you feeding back. Is he sound okay to you, Sarah?
Okay. I feel like I'm hearing myself, but maybe... Anyway. You know what? I'm going to put my headphones on just to make sure. That's probably my speakers.
I'm not hearing you on this end, but I'm hearing a dog chew on his toy, so life is good here.
All right.
And
there we
Sarah
go.
says you sound fine, but you look sexy in the headphones, so.
Well, okay, thanks.
Yeah, you look like an editor. You look like an editor.
Right, yeah, I guess we got to go into full editor mode.
There we go.
I don't usually... Now, word on audio, I don't usually like to edit on headphones. It gets a little uncomfortable. What I typically do is I'll do my first edit pass through on my speakers, on my home speakers, and then I will re-listen to the episode back on headphones just to hear the mix and make sure everything sounds good.
And I want to say that's super important because I found out that I listened to it on my headphones and it was fine, but it was when it was being played as a podcast on my car, it sounded like shit, and I had to go back and download 2 tracks and edit and do all those kind of fun things.
Yeah. So yeah, the audio will sound different in many different environments. If you have a time, try to listen to it in different environments. That's going to give you the best possible solution.
Even if it's just a few minutes, is just check it.
Yeah, you can literally take your laptop, plug it into your aux cable into your car if you have it, or download it onto your phone, play it in your car, see how it sounds. You can adjust otherwise.
Otherwise, you edit an entire podcast twice.
Yep. So, step 1, yeah, I am definitely hearing myself. I think that's... Oh, you know what? I know what it is. I know what that is. Pretty sure that's that. Check. Nope, that's not it. Whatever. I'll be fine. That doesn't have anything to do with podcasts. That's just on my end. Don't worry about it.
We're ignoring Scott, but stop ignoring Scott. That was an ignore Scott moment.
No,
but
just
now...
ignore what you saw on the screen. So, editing wise, I prefer to use Reaper. Reaper is a digital audio workstation. Digital audio workstation is basically what takes your audio, puts it in digital form, and then that's how you do your editing. Okay.
He's converting me tonight.
I'm trying to convert Tyra because she uses GarageBand, which is a free program that comes with Apple. It's a fine program, not really. It's more designed for music making than for editing.
That is
but
true.
You can edit in it. This is what I use. You can use whatever DAW you want. Is this easier, better than Audacity? I think so. The reason being is Audacity, and I haven't used Audacity a lot, so this is what works for me. I can't really say it's better. It's better for me. I think that's the best way to say it.
That's the trick.
I know a lot of people use Audacity and have fine results with that. So I'm not dogmatic about what DAW you use, but each DAW has its own ways of doing things. So you have to learn how that DAW works. Using a DAW to me is like a technique. Each DAW does something a little bit different, and you just got to figure out which one works for you. I know Audacity is popular because it's free. I will say Reaper gives you a 30-day trial, full functioning. And then afterwards, it's actually, you just have to click a button. It'll prompt you to buy a license, and you just wait 5 seconds and click that off, and it'll still work. But I also know Reaper's license is like $65. I think that's a fair price. It's not $200 or whatever. It's not $200 for
a year or month or whatever.
Yeah, it's not a monthly subscription. It's a one-time thing, and you get to use it for life. So yeah, Reaper.fm. Again, this is what I use. You can use what you want, but everything I do here is in Reaper. So I don't know if it converts to every single other DAW appropriately. It should. So
saying hi to Kaz.
Yeah, I see Kaz in there. Hi, Kaz. So step one in this process, as we've already kind of talked about, and I'm going to put this on a notepad because I hate PowerPoint. First and most important thing is communication. Okay. You need to know what the client wants. I know Tyra. I know Tyra's podcast. It's Talking Heads conversational podcast.
Cute Talking Heads. Thank you.
Yes.
And a dog.
And a dog occasionally. So this is going to be a very simple program. It goes. She has the music, the intro, and then goes into the main discussion, and then outro music. Now Tyra did one thing that I love her for.
Oh my, that's good.
And this is something everybody should know. Label your audio. Label your audio. This is the biggest thing that will save you time when working with other people. Okay? In here, and it may be a little hard to see, but she has intro, extended, theme extended, original theme, Tyra. Who was the other one? Ilara, that's her guest. So she has all of her tracks labeled, and she, in messages, put out exactly how it's supposed to be formatted. That is to an audio editor, that is a godsend. So if you are sending audio to an editor, you need to do this. What software am I? I'm using Reaper. Reaper.fm.
Yep.
But a lot of these tips doesn't matter the DAW. Okay. So by the way, hashtag not sponsored.
What does DAW stand for?
DAW is Digital Audio Workstation.
There we go.
So that's how you get your audio into digital format and how you edit it and then send it out to the world. So we're going to get started. First, we're going to build the structure. So with Tyra, I know she has intro, outro music.
So I'm going to have to leave you for a moment because he has never acted
I hear
like
Dobby's
this.
going nuts.
He is going nuts. I think he might need to go OUT, so I will be back in just a moment.
Yep. And what I like to do, and I'll click on a different cause, thank you. So this is a template I use for Goblins and Growlers. I like to color code my tracks. That lets me know easily what each track is. And this is where you also want to label. So here I have theme music, I have the host names, stuff like that. That goes a long way. Organizing your editing will save you time and allow you to work much, much quicker. So for music, I always just like to set it to red. You decide whatever color works best for you. Next one, I know she has an intro, or let's see. So the first one I said intro. This is intro outro music. Actually, let me redo this. I'm just going to call this music. This is just going to be the track for the background music. And then I'm going to have intro. So I know she does a little promo intro in introducing her guest and talks about what they talked about and everything like that. So I am going to make that yellow. Okay. And then I put that up here because I know that's going to be, where you space them is up to you. I know the music comes in first and then she does the intro. So that's just easier flow for me. And then we have Tyra. And we have guest. Okay. If I'm editing for Tyra, I'm going to keep that as guest because I know she has a guest. If it's a specific person one time, I may use that person's name. Best to go with guest if it's, again, an interview podcast where the same, the host is the same, but the guest is always different. For example, with Goblins and Growlers, it's 2 hosts. So I put their names in here, Josh and Brandon. Your mile may vary. Yes, Sarah, let's talk about that because there's kind of something that came up, but we'll message me on Discord and we'll talk about that further. Yeah, for those that don't know, I do a little bit of composition. Actually, I did the music composition for Tyra's podcast. So you'll hear that in a little bit. Okay, and then again, we're labeling this, so I color these as blue. Again, it doesn't matter what the colors don't matter. What matters is what works best for you. This is what works best for.
Scott, please tell me I didn't delete you from the screen. Okay, so Scott's not there either. I don't know what's going. So hopefully he'll be back shortly. If anybody can drop me a comment in the thing to let me know what's going on, I'd super appreciate it. Okay, I think Scott's audio has dropped out. One sec, tech issues. Wonderful. We love it when things happen at the same time. Yay, Sarah can hear me. I love you, Sarah. Thanks for letting me know. Scott will be right back with us. I just saw him. Hang on just a second.
Sorry about that. That was
That's
on my end. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Sarah, can you hear, or Kaz, can you hear Scott for me?
Okay. Yeah, audio device.
Yay.
Yeah, that's an issue with my interface. I need to look into that later. Okay,
Dog is now entertained.
Good. So I left off. We were talking about color organization. So I explained how
cool.
each track gets its own color. So
I like
in
that.
this case, music, intro, and then you and your guest. Again, I think every DAW can do this, but you'd have to check your DAW. What I do is I like to create a project template now.
I do too.
I save up template, and I'll call it Geek Meets Social.
So I just looked in GarageBand, you can do color.
Yeah, every DAW should be able to do some sort of color coding. Cool. At the very least, again, label the track with the names as I pointed out. And the reason I do that template, that's the word, is so anytime before I go to edit, so like if I was to start over and reopen Reaper, this is what comes up. It's just a blank page. So then I can go into my templates and go, okay, I'm doing Geek Meet Social. Bam. My tracks are already set up. Now, I would ideally have my plugins and everything already set up ahead of time. That's something we'll talk about later. But at the very least, if you get this, you just saved yourself a bunch of time in setting up your tracks. Little tricks like these really help speed up your workflow and save you a lot of time. You know, this right here is the template I use for Goblins and Growlers. As you see, I have the theme music. I have already the intro and the outro set up with all the music cues and everything like that. So I don't have to worry about doing that extra work every single time. And it's there. I can adjust it. So if they want to do a new intro, I can delete this intro, put an intro in. If there's a different song, I can just take this out, add in a new song. Just makes things easier.
I'm feeling better about my editing because I actually have a template with the things that I know I'm going to use every single time set up.
Yeah. You want, if you use it, in this case, if I was to set up a specific EQ and a specific compressor that Tyra uses because it makes her voice sound great, then I would have that set up here.
Ooh. Just remember to save your template as a different name.
Yeah, always save the template as the name of the show you're working on.
Yeah.
And one thing I'll do here, this is what I always like to do with music, is I just apply a little bit of EQ.
Ooh.
And I unfortunately I can't resize that. I take a little bit of EQ, just a wide band of EQ out in this range because this is your vocal range. So when you're talking over music, it just helps the music. It helps the voice stand out and sit in the mix better.
Oh, that's neat. Because I actually adjust the volume down on my music track.
I adjust the volume too.
Okay.
But having that EQ already kind of taking out just helps. Gotcha. Because it doesn't it doesn't quite interfere so badly as if you didn't do that. So again, I'll just update. I'll save that project as a template, and I'll update my template. That's the great thing about templates. You can always go back, add more to them if you need to.
True. Just remember, start with your template and immediately save it as something else.
Mm-hmm. And I have this saved as, and one thing I like to do, I'm glad you reminded me of that. What I like to do with my projects is every time I make a change, not every time, but after a certain amount of time editing or making changes, I do a save project as, and I do 001. So that way, if I start getting ahead of myself, and for whatever reason, I made a couple edits, I get lost or something like that, or I made a couple changes or something happens, right? Life happens. I can go back to previous versions if I need to. So like if my save file gets corrupted, if like I said, I did one edit and then realized like I cut out a whole thing that didn't need to be cut out, rather than trying to have to retrace my steps, I can always just go back a couple of those session files. So, and it's just easier to remember. And then if I like to edit over multiple sessions. So instead of like, I can go back and I go, okay, last one I left off was 006 or 00 whatever. All right. So now, again, we talked about plugins, intros. Yeah, everything's already set to go. So next thing is we're going to edit. We're going to bring in all of the files. So, okay, so you gave me a run a show. I got to find that in Discord. Here it is. Okay, so, all right, so you like the intro, you like the extended intro.
Yeah,
right?
I don't know if you mentioned, but Scott wrote my theme music, and it's awesome, but I needed it to be longer, so I looped in part of it. Hopefully you don't hate me for it.
No.
To make it longer so that I could do all the intro with that playing in the background.
Though I will say in the future, if you're working with a composer and you need something looped a little bit longer, usually best to let the composer do that. Just because they can usually make it a cleaner edit. If you have to do it yourself, you have to do it yourself. But if you have a composer or someone who's composed stuff, that's a good way to do that.
I didn't want to bother him. But you'll see if I've done it horribly or not, and then you'll probably
right. So first thing is we're just going to space everything out. So you got that, then you got your intro, spoken intro all. Okay. Let me see something here.
So if you're out there in YouTube land, for me, my YouTube video keeps going away. So I'm sorry if it does. Just reload.
So your file has your metronome in there.
Off. No, it doesn't.
It does. You don't hear that little clicking in the background?
No.
Okay, so.
Well, fudge ducklings. Which file? Is it all the files or just that file?
Right now it sounds like all of them because you got your music.
Yeah, I'm not hearing your music. I'm not hearing the music at all, so.
Oh, wait, that's the Alara intro. Where's the music?
Yeah, so Charles just let me know
that
the audio from the tracks are not coming through.
Okay.
We fixed that when we started.
Oh, I thought I did. Oh, you know what? I may have to share the screen. Let me try that.
Okay. I don't know if you had your headphones on when we tried before.
Oh, I didn't actually share it on here. So we hear it, but don't show this. Yep, got it.
Okay, ready to show?
Yeah, it's on here too.
Okay, let's see if it plays.
I just played it. Did you hear that?
I think it's because I don't think you had your headphones on when we tried before. Because I'm not hearing it. Are you guys not hearing it out there in Trek? I don't even know what we are. Digital media, live stream. Charles says no.
Okay. All right, hold on. I know a way to fix this.
Awesome.
1 second.
No music for cause. We're not going to give anybody music. And it seems that I have a metronome over everything. So that's just lovely. I'm not sure how that got downloaded. Is there a box to check when you share the screen? Let me go look, Charles.
There is. I did that already.
Oh, okay. Oh, hang on. It's my fault. Put it back.
Oh, okay.
I think I know. Isn't this lovely? I'm a noob when it comes to these things. Okay, try now. No, it wasn't me. It was a nice thought. So Charles said, is there a box to check in the StreamYard to share audio?
Yeah, I clicked it.
He did. It just hates us. And the audio is showing on it. Life is good, everybody. So if you're out there in land, one thing you might want to do before you send audio over is turn off that metronome on your GarageBand, which I thought I did. And yeah, I'm a little confused while he's still hearing it. But you know what? I just brought up stuff and I'm going to see what happens.
Dang it.
Okay. So anybody got any questions? We've also got Dragon Con coming up in less than 50 days. Scare me bejeebers. So if you have any questions about what's happening with the track, we can lie about that. Soon, the track programming will be locked in. If you'd like to find out some of our secrets, join our Discord. It's always hopping. And let me draw that up on here. Let's see. Here's our link tree. Go find us. Join our Discord. You can learn multiple things. And like right now, people are even talking about the wonderful Prime days to help each other find sales.
Okay.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the volunteer meeting too.
No, I do impact. I'm checking things on my end once. Oh, I can do this. Okay.
Awesome. So yes, if you do volunteer with Dragon Con, there is a volunteer meeting coming up, I think next weekend, not this coming weekend, but the next. Somebody tell me if I'm right or wrong. I can't remember crap these days. I think it's on the 27th. Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll drop some stuff into the volunteer channel on our Discord about that. But if you do volunteer with Dragon Con, I hope to see you there. I'm going to be there for the meeting. I can hear you.
Okay, 1 second. Whoops, that's not what I wanted.
Let's see if we can hear other things.
Check. No. Back.
I'm losing my mind.
Joke's on you. I never had on mine to begin with.
It's just better that way.
Check.
I could hear me twice. Now it's gone.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Let's hear if we can hear the software. Yes.
Okay.
It's super loud.
It's super loud. Okay.
And I hear my metronome, which I have no...
Not a problem. I mean, we can't do much about it, but we can still have the demonstration.
Right. So I'm sorry, everybody.
Is that better levels-wise?
It's a little bit loud. By a little bit, I meant a lot.
Okay. How about now?
That's better. Yeah,
Okay.
That's really good where it is right now.
All right, cool. Yeah, that's a click track. You don't want that in your recordings. So.
Yeah, now I'm slightly frightened that my podcast might have it in it, but I don't remember hearing it. So
We can look at it later. No problem.
yeah. No, I'm gonna. Don't mind me.
So, but this actually brings up a good point. Again, communication with the client. Okay, I've identified a problem. I can't edit this with the click track. So I would reach out to Tyra and say, "Hey, we have this problem. I need you to re-export the audio." Cool. But we'll proceed as if that's not there. It'll be mildly distracting, but it's fine. So I know Tara likes to have the intro music going for a little bit and then her spoken intro. So we'll just kind of rough put this in. So I know there's a little build up. I usually like to let the audio run a few seconds just to establish. Okay, so
I went and checked. The podcast doesn't have it. So
Okay.
I was having a minor freak out and I couldn't wait until we were done to find out.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, you just exported something wrong. So at some point, you dip the music down just a little bit. I usually do just 4. Well, that's way loud.
Welcome to Geek Meets Social, a roundup of favorites in the world of a gamer girl, gadget-loving social media geek. Get ready as we journey through the digital life, chat with friends, and learn things.
Was that all there was to the intro? Or is there more? I can't hear you. You're muted.
You couldn't hear me say the F word either. That part is the same for every episode, and then I have a unique episode intro that I also do.
That's this right here.
Yeah. Okay. So on my template, I have that part that you just played, and then I record this next part.
Okay. So again, we're discussing how they want the episode to sound, how they want the intro and things like that. This is important things to establish with your clients before starting a project together.
So what was the little green line that you just messed with?
So this is a Reaper thing. This is a volume automation. Okay. So gotcha. What I do is, like I said, I have the music run a little bit, then I dip the audio so the intro can be heard.
So if the green line it goes below the track on a separate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically it's just underneath there. I can make it disappear. Or
no, that's pretty cool. On GarageBand, it's on top of it.
Yeah, and there's every DAW has its own way of doing it. I think I can actually have it on top. I just like to have it underneath like this. So that way, once I'm done with it, I can just click. I just hit V and it closes out. So then I don't accidentally click something and make an adjustment. So we're listening.
Welcome to Geek Meets Social, a roundup of favorites in the world of a gamer girl, gadget-loving social media geek. Get ready as we journey through the digital life, chat with friends, and learn things. Done is amazing.
Okay, so that got cut off a little bit in the front. That's me. So going through, we're just going to merge those together.
And learn things. Alara Dunn is amazing, and I can't wait to share with you.
So do you want to break between that, or do you want to go straight into it?
I usually have just a beat, so it seems like it was all recorded together most of the time.
Okay.
Things. Alara Dunn. And learn things. Ooh. Alara Dunn. So what did you just do?
This is just a quick fade.
Okay.
Again, for a Reaper, it's just a click and bring it in.
Oh, look at that.
And this just helps make things a little bit more natural instead of having that hard cut there. It just kind of
and learn things. Alara Dunn is amazing, and I can't wait to.
Mostly, it's imperceptible, and that's how you want it.
Right.
And I'll show kind of an example later.
All that we talked about, writer to writer, whether it's cosplaying, trying to stop bullying, talking about being a disabled author, or breaking those writing rules and creating book covers, she has done it all.
I'm going to adjust this just a little bit because I like to have some of the music play towards the outro.
Yeah, me too.
So.
And it's got my music has a great end to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, no, I really like it.
Welcome
to Geek Meets Social, a roundup of favorites in the world of a gamer girl.
Okay, let me do a little bit more because I want to let that intro fade in just a bit better. That's a little too quick of a fade. Again, all this is taste, so your mileage may vary on how much you drop in versus how much you don't. Your ears are your tool. Use them.
Welcome to Geek Meets Social, a roundup of favorites in the world of a gamer girl, gadget-loving social media geek. Get ready as we journey through the digital life, chat with friends, and learn.
And guys, if you have questions,
Alara Dunn is amazing, and I can't wait to share with you all that we talked about, writer to writer, whether it's cosplaying, trying to stop bullying, talking about being a disabled author, or breaking those writing rules and creating book covers. She has done it all. I can't wait for you to hear more. But first, let's talk about some social media, and we might as well focus on writing. So let's talk about how to get those blog posts written.
Okay.
Now I'm going to be interested to see if the clicking shows up on this or not.
Looks like it does not.
Talk about blog post. How can you get these?
Okay. So, we can kind of fade.
Media, and we might as well focus on writing. So let's talk about how to get those blog posts written. Talk about blog post. How can you get these things written? How to get those blog posts written. So let's talk about how to get let's talk about some social media, and we might as well focus. I can't wait for you to hear more, but first, let's talk about some social media, and we might as well focus on writing. So let's talk about how to get those blog posts written.
Okay, so it looks like there's a little, it cuts off a little here.
Written about blog post. That's weird. Blog post written about blog post. What did I do? You may just have to, I may have trimmed about blog post. How can you get
you trimmed a little of the social tip a little bit early.
Bad on Tyra. That's what I get for recording fast.
And again, these are problems you have to solve, that you may have to solve as an editor. And, we have the benefit that she can re-export that and resend it to me. Sometimes you don't have that time, right? Like if this is going out tomorrow, we don't have the time to do that. So sometimes you may have to make a call and just go, okay, well, we're going to have to cut this part out. If I was to do this, again, if we didn't have the benefit of the time that we have and the communication that we have.
Let's talk about some social media, and we might as well wait for you to hear more. But first, she has done it all. I can't wait for you to hear more. But first, she has done it all. I can't wait for you to hear more. But first.
So I may just cut that out and bring the music back in.
Can't wait for you to hear more. For you to hear more.
Right? Is it perfect? No, but sometimes that's what you got. And those are decisions that you have to make as an editor. And that's, again, why communication with your client is so important. If this was again, the first thing I would do is I would reach out to Tyra and say, hey, there's a problem with the audio. I need you to do this, this, and this. Now, say Tyra is out on one of her many social events because she's a social media maven. And she can't do that tonight. She can't get it to me tonight. The episode needs to come out at, 12 o'clock on the dot, whatever. Then you got to make a call and go. Okay. And understand that it's not going to be perfect. But
nothing's ever perfect.
Nothing's ever perfect. People will forget about it by the next episode. Right?
It's true.
So
let it go.
You got to let it go. You make the call, and if there's a problem, then you discuss it with the client afterwards.
So this was the episode I was not going to send Scott. I had another one that I know I've got audio problems with. Went into my StreamYard, and for some reason, both of the audio tracks did not load. Only mine did, and hers is only partial. And it's going to be horrible. And I've only got one audio track with both of us on it. So sometimes things just happen. So I may even have to re-record with her, which will be a complete bummer.
Yeah.
That's 5 to create your content. Always look at that copyright, because if you want to be able to own your own words, you got to write them. To come up with content ideas, or even using something like the Google search engine AI to help you find out talking points that you can include. When you're writing that blog post, I always outline mine first, come up with that major theme, and then numbers actually work really well. 3 things you need to know about living in Kennesaw.
Okay, so this is all pre-recorded, so I'm not too worried about the editing of it. So we can just kind of move on to the meat and potatoes as it were. So then we got Tyra and Ilara. So what you want to try to do is line up the audio as best you can. Let's see here.
I've learned from my last one. I just did.
So what I'm doing right now is these are stereo files, so I'm dropping them down to mono. I'm down mixing them to mono files.
Ooh.
It's not a big deal really to do. It's just what I like to do because when you export, it exports in stereo anyway. So this is just kind of a me thing.
I've learned from my last one. I just did Andrew Greenberg.
Yeah, you probably not because it's pretty present. I mean, you can do it with noise reduction. And I do have a noise reduction plugin that I can try. But if I have if it's something like that where it's a bad export, I'd rather just have them re-export the click track or without the click track.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, it's easy for me to hop in there and re-export it, but if he was in a crunch, that would be something to try.
So actually, I can't. Let's go ahead and try that. So on the, I won't do it on music. I'll do it on the intro. So I have a plugin set from iZotope called RX. It's a noise reduction plugin, noise fixing plugin. Let's see, declick. We'll see.
Welcome to Geek Meets Social, a roundup of social media geek. Get ready as we journey through the digital life, chat with friends, and learn things. Alara Dunn is amazing, and I can't wait to share with you all that we talked about, writer to writer. Bullying, talking about. So that's the iZotope that Scott was talking about. Roundup of favorites in the world of a gamer girl, gadget-loving social media geek. Get ready as we journey through the digital life, chat with friends, and learn
so
things.
this actually,
Alara Dunn is amazing, and I can't wait to share with you all that we talked about, writer to writer. If you had to go with it, at least it's better.
Yeah, it's better. Now, the reason you heard that extra thing is these programs are very processor heavy. So there's a delay because of that.
Okay.
So, and there's your trade-off of like, do I put more stress on my computer or can she just quickly re-export it?
All right.
And again, there's other plugins like this. This is iZotope. It's pretty much one of the industry standards as far as just for audio repair in general. Like Hollywood uses, like everybody uses it. So, again, hashtag not sponsored, but it's there.
We only wish. We do need sponsors. We love track sponsors.
iZotope, if you want to sponsor us, please do.
Yes, we do have a sponsor this year though. So we need more. I just did Andrew Greenberg, and I've got to go back and re-edit it because his sound was not as. So this is a good question for me to ask. So like I start recording before I actually start the actual show.
Yeah.
And so all that you're hearing right now is going to need to be cut off. Yeah. How do I make sure that the two tracks line up well? Like that they're starting at the same point.
Good point. So.
Oh, Scott, you just cut out on me.
Yeah, 1 second.
And I'm just going to throw this up here from Hugh, just so you know. There's a built-in Reaper.
NR is noise reduction.
Yeah.
Which
will be handy for me because sometimes I got to noise reduce the dog.
Yeah, I'm not 100% familiar with that one, but I have to check it out. Hold on 1 second.
No worries. So that was one of the things that when I had to re-edit my podcast with Andrew Greenberg, was that I had to figure out how to get those two tracks of us lined up because when I downloaded them from StreamYard, the start times were slightly different.
Okay, so it's sorry,
that's okay.
It's getting very warm, so I had to turn on the AC, so you may hear that in the background.
AC is good.
Okay, so we would talk about syncing up parts.
Yeah. Because when I downloaded them from StreamYard, they were milliseconds off.
Yes, and they're always going to be because of latency and everything like that. So I'll explain how I do it with your audio, and then I will show you a method on how to do it better.
Okay. Sound was not as high as mine.
Right.
And so sound was not as high as mine. And so luckily StreamYard records.
Right.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I followed the track. That's why you couldn't hear me for a second there. So if you kind of look, and this is where, like, hey Phil, how you doing? 42 days. I can't wait.
Oh, not ready. Not ready.
So one thing you could do. So you do edit with your ears, and that I want to stress that you do. Audio is primarily ear focused. It's audio, obviously. But with DAWs, you can kind of look and see things. So I can see here, here's a slight pause between when you finish saying something.
Load both.
Gotcha.
So I'll see how we do today. And, but I got plenty of time to edit yours. I had
So I can see that's where she responded.
Yeah.
So it's not perfect, but it is a way to do things. So I can see here, like, okay, maybe this is a little off, so I probably can just, slide and adjust it that way. That's the good thing about audio, working within a digital audio workstation, is you can cut that, move it over, no problem. In the old days, you had to cut tape, and this would not be possible.
right.
Okay, so hold on, let me check something here.
And you're probably going to see a long pause before the.
Yep. So what I'm going to bring. Yes, I did. Okay. Yes, I did. All right. So what we do, or what Goblins and Growls did before I came on, and this is something I learned, is they have a clock app. I don't remember what it's called, but you can sync it to any watch or whatever. And they do literal clap syncs like you do in film or theater. You know, when they have the clacker, or, if you see the behind the scenes and they have the clacker with the time code on it.
Yep.
That's for audio as well as for
Oh.
video, because that syncs up the audio automatically, because every mic will pick up that clack, because it's a very sharp, it's a very sharp sound.
We
So
actually
it's easy to sync.
we actually do that for building bold connections.
Yeah.
Because we're filming in the same room together.
Right. So you can see these claps right here, right? These are claps. So botch multi-tracks, what I do is unmute their lines in the beginning and line all their trains playing in mind. Then I lined up. Yeah. That's a way to do it too, is, you sync it up with yours. Your mileage may vary. The clap sync is the easiest for me as an editor, because I can line these up easily, right? So I see this, I'll line it up on the timeline here, and I know generally everything's synced up. So you'll hear it both clicks.
Double O.
So how do I do that?
So
If I'm-
they're watching a clock again, or you can do it on the clock. You can do it either way.
So you
let's
just have everybody count down and clap at the same time.
So Phil, they're not actually clapping on a beat. Okay, I have it synced up on the timeline as a beat, but it's not that. So you can just say, okay, we're going to clap in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we're going to clap again in 3, 2, 1. And then clap, they're doing it based on again, I don't remember exactly which, there's a clock on there. I think that there's a website with like a clock sync. But either way, as long as you're telling the person, okay, we're going to clap in 3, 2, 1, boom, right? Even if the claps are off, I can sync the clap, and that's going to get me in the ballpark.
I like that. Because I use claps to let myself know when I need to edit something or when I've started back. But I hadn't thought about using that.
3, 2, 1 insert marker. So now I know, and even like I can visually see like he's talking here, he's talking there. Like that's a chime in, he's talking there. So it just lines things up. It's not quite an exact science, but it gets you in the ballpark, and you're not having to edit every single line. As Tyra is furiously clicking her notes.
No, that is awesome. Like I had figured out with editing, even when I was doing videos for class, that if I clapped, I'd get that spike. And it would tell me that, so that you don't leave something like you saying "fuckity fuck" on your Twitter,
right?
Video for school for a good solid year, like somebody. I just did Andrew Greenberg, and I've got to go back and re-edit it because.
So all right, so we know this is just intro talking and everything. So
yeah, we're just chatting away.
Oh, you live in Marietta. We are so close to each other.
We are like stone's throw away because I live like right off of 575.
Stop. Don't let. I don't know. She'd want the world to know where she lives.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay.
I live right
you
off
didn't
of
know we were going to do that.
My backyard is our neighbor.
We are right next to each other.
We are. Okay. So we will. Wait, do you do coffee? We will have to do coffee at some point.
I'm always trying to do coffee with people.
Nothing wrong with coffee with
Words them separately. I just don't usually. In Marietta, we are so close to each other.
We are like stone's throw away.
Yeah, Phil brings up a great point. Like everything, the more you do it, the easier it is. I can see it. Yeah. It's the same for like. There's the scene in The Matrix where he's like, "Yeah, I can see the Matrix." That's literally how it is. Like I can see this is a whole sentence here. This is you got excited here. You got excited here. They must have clapped here or had a sharp laugh. Stuff like that. Like you can almost read the lines.
Are we going to do the thing where we pretend we've not just talked for 30 minutes?
Yeah, we can do that. Sometimes I just admit,
Yeah.
you got to have pre-show before you have show, in my opinion.
Clearly.
Because but I should have. He's like, he always has like 15, 20 minutes where he talks to someone because
There's little gems.
a little gem pops.
So would you want that part in there?
No, that's all us just chit-chatting beforehand. See, now, and if I had been a better client, I would have chopped that
so
crap
happy
out before I sent it to him.
No.
Okay, that would not have been a better client.
No, don't do your editor's job for you.
Oh, okay.
Because then why are you hiring me?
Truth.
Again, this is something we would talk about, and we would go, hey, do you want to hear, I hear a lot of pre-roll stuff in here. Do you want that in, or do you want to go straight to the episode? You want to go straight to the episode, which is fine. Either way, that's your call as the creator of the podcast. I know with Goblins and Growlers, sometimes I like to take little bits where they're talking ahead of time, and then I'll put that in the front of the show as kind of a, little kind of behind the scenes thing, and they love it.
Yep.
Entirely decides, editor is building the story, pacing and framing. Exactly. So, but if you want it to be completely business from the start, then that's something we would, like I just stopped. Okay, you don't want this? Cool. I'll take it out.
I am so happy to welcome Alara.
So then I know you don't want any of that pre-roll. So now, boom, boom, pre-roll's gone. Never happened. You never talked before you hit record.
No. And I always save that. Like I always keep that file of the raw so that if I want to go back and do an outtakes episode, I can do that.
Yep. Yeah. When I did Blood Crow Stories, I would save outtakes to a different track, and then I would put those into a different session file for blooper reels and stuff like that. So we've done a little bit of editing. I want to do save project as.
Yeah, don't forget to save as you go.
Save work constantly. You do not know when your computer is going to just decide to die. Always save. And again, I do save as because if you come back later and you're like, you know what, I actually want some of that pre-roll in there.
Mm-hmm.
I can go back to that previous file. or whatever you need to do. I don't like cloud saving, but you can
I
do.
do.
I save to hard drives. I do not like cloud saving.
I save to clouds, and it saves also to my hard drive. So it saves, like I use Dropbox. So Dropbox saves it on my hard drive, but it's also saved in the Dropbox cloud. In case
I save it to my hard drive on my computer. If I'm working off an external, I save it to that, and then I will. If I want to put it somewhere for storage, I can put it on I have an external hard drive that I save everything to. That's my everything drive. So
I like portability, so that if I'm editing someplace else, I got it.
right. I don't usually edit
Anywhere but
remotely. So, but I do have an external drive. I will put it on for that way. If something happens and my computer dies, I can take it to my laptop and work on that.
Yep. The key is have a backup, is what we're saying. However you want to do that, have a backup.
As my teacher said, if it's not backed up in 3 places, it doesn't exist.
It's true.
And I will tell you, backups will save your life. There have been many times where I was working on something and something happened, and because I had a backup saved on an external hard drive, I saved myself like 3 hours worth of work.
Oh yeah.
All right. So
Okay, it's actually a funny story because
so actually this is a good thing right here. So she starts with
Freeze.
okay, it's
so we have the little uhs in there, right? Uhs and ums and stuff like that is not necessarily a terrible thing. I personally don't like to take them all out. Okay. Because sometimes it's part of the flow of their thinking. So if it, I know, like some people will use like AI for editing, right?
Yep.
And AI will just take it all out. That sounds to me very unnatural. People pause, people hums or huzz or thinks. So, to me, what's more important is the flow of the conversation. Does it break the flow of conversation? Can I cut it out and make it sound natural? If I can, great. If not, it's fine. So,
okay, it's actually a funny story because
so here I know I can cut this. Right. So,
Oh, he's so much better than me.
okay, it's actually a funny story because
right. So we cut out the ums and the actuallys and everything like that, but we still kept the line intact, right? So it sounds more succinct.
Okay.
Then I can just move this over, take out the dead air.
Freeze.
it's actually a funny story because
So again, this is a flow thing, and this is purely a personal preference. That's a little bit too much of a pause for me. So if I can bring this in a little bit closer.
a funny story because I have a degree in a funny story because I have a degree in fine art.
So again, some people aren't used to talking on the mic, and I'm not saying this as a insult or anything to your guests. It's just some people are, when you do presentations and you're a teacher, you're used to talking in front of people, so you know to cut out a lot of that stuff. But when you're talking to someone in private, even recorded, that stuff happens.
It's true.
So I would probably do this.
Degree in fine art, a bachelor of fine art. Degree in fine art, a bachelor of fine art in
Ooh.
video.
Where from?
SCAD.
So I swear when we're recording, it never feels like there's that big of a gap.
No, and again, a lot of this is because of the latency that happens with video calling.
That's true.
So that's why I'm
That
it
makes sense.
looks like I'm manipulating the audio to make it sound like how it should sound if you were in the same room together.
Gotcha. That
'Cause
makes
if
a
you
lot
were
of
in
sense.
the same room, if you were both in the same room on microphones, it would sound much, much different. It would sound more like this. But because we're on the internet and video and delays and everything like that, this stuff happens.
Where from?
SCAD.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. So,
and
college professor, I always have to know where people went to school.
so it's in video.
So yeah, you got like so I'm not going to cut that out.
I was just saying, know your filler word. Mine is so.
And I had been working.
So, you got the ums and the clicks there. I can take that out.
Been working on a reality show treatment on.
There are plugins that will let you take out those like clicks and pops and the little mouth noises that you hear. If I can edit it out of the audio, I prefer to do that because sometimes the plugins aren't always perfect. So it's easier to take that out. You edit ums and uhs back in. I mean, that's a choice. You can do whatever you want.
Show treatment on following different kids from different areas and different, walks of life, to follow them, to also.
So one thing I would say is, and I said this to a band I used to work with, they would go into the studio and them live was completely different. It just had a whole different feel.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it was because they were editing too much.
Yeah, you can absolutely edit way too much.
Yeah. So think about, it's that fine line of editing it so it flows better, but also you want it to sound real and not overly produced.
And that's why I wanted to do, like, because we talk about this on our panels and stuff like this.
Absolutely.
Like that all the time, but you never actually get to see it and hear it. And that's what I'm hoping is comes across in this, is that this is the things you are going to encounter as an editor, whether you're editing your own stuff, editing stuff for other people. These are you're making 1,000 decisions to make it the best podcast it can be. And not everyone's going to agree on the decisions, and a lot of it is just it's experience, it's reps. I can do this now because I've done this 1,000 times. Whereas someone who hasn't, it may take them longer.
Follow them, to also follow the person doing the bullying, because we all know there's issues there as well.
Oh yeah.
And to get on some experts and to get them some real life therapy and talk about.
Yeah, I will totally admit to taking the easy road some days.
Everybody does. Anyone that says they don't use shortcuts is a liar. First of all.
Oh my God, Skype lagged so bad.
Yeah. So I can try to double end record, and sometimes you have to edit things around.
That is so true.
Not one of my shows, but one of my friends' shows, they recorded it live, but that person, one of the people's, was recording remotely. Their audio just got messed up. It didn't record or something like that. So they literally had to go, and because they were overseas, so they couldn't get together again to re-record it. They literally recorded themselves listening to the episode and reacting as if they were there.
Oh my.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes. It happens.
Therapy, and talk about it and really show people this is the long-term effects of bullying. So
I wouldn't cut that space out because she kind of trails off here.
This is the long-term effects of bullying. So I was writing the treatment for it, and I got COVID.
Oh no.
Again, you got little breasts and stuff in here.
That was me reacting to COVID because
you both did. You both did. Because we
had a moment.
You didn't see it, but you both have that click.
Right.
Yeah. Let me see if I can zoom in. Yeah, if I can zoom in.
I was just having flashbacks to using Skype.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. One long prayer that it just held.
Yeah.
But so you see these little clicks here. I know that are probably some sort of mouth click or something in the background, so I know that's garbage. I can take that out.
I love how you're able to make it bigger so easily.
Now I have mitochondrial disease.
Yeah, that is a Zoom. What's the word I'm looking for? That's one. It's keyboard shortcuts I'm using.
Gotcha.
I'm not explaining those because that's specific.
Unique to everybody.
So this isn't a Reaper training session. This is editing. If it was Reaper, I'd be talking more about that.
Oh.
Now, I have mitochondrial disease, and mitochondrial disease
So yeah, you got a little click there. Doesn't really add anything, so I'm going to take that.
mitochondrial disease, and mitochondrial disease causes like severe fatigue, muscle aches, just
So that right there, that's I think that's fine. You're actively, that's an active listening sound. You know, you're
Right.
just going,
That's me going,
yeah. So I leave that in because that's an active, you're actively listening, right? Now,
That
if you
makes
did it every 2 seconds, I would cut some of that out. You know,
fatigue, muscle aches, just, it's a pretty severe diagnosis.
yeah. So just again, these are all just little things that just help smooth out.
Diagnosis. And I couldn't do, my head hurt so bad and my fever was so high, I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even look at my cell phone.
oh,
So in this fever dream, I had this concept of a girl looking into her high school locker and hearing a voice back. And so I wrote in my
So again, there's a little pause there, but there's a breath. So she's gearing up to talk about something very heavy. I want to leave that breath in there.
that
Right.
makes sense.
Again, that's where I disagree with AI tools, because AI tools would probably cut that out, or even some people, they would use strip silence to take that out. I want that in there because that makes them sound like a human. Again, your mileage may vary, but this is how I do things.
Craig, that is awesome.
A library of my class.
I love that.
So sometimes if you have stuff like that, if there's certain bits that you're like, sometimes with goblins and growlers, I have a rim shot I'll put in if they make a terrible joke, or if they do a really bad pun, I'll put in like a aw.
And so I
sad
wrote in my
trombone or
brain,
something.
because I couldn't even open my eyes, a YA fantasy novel.
So yeah, you're clicking there, like tongue's clicking. Don't want that in there per se.
Yeah, I've had a really bad time with my mic picking that up, and I have, the stuff I'm supposed to have, but
Yeah, I hear it on your end. That's
I'm a
something.
clicker, and I got to figure out how not to be.
Some of it is diet. Like there's certain things you can do because it's moisture in your mouth. I forget exactly what it is.
Novel to incorporate all the things that I was going to do in the reality show. So essentially a reality show became a fictional fantasy setting.
And if I'm going too fast for anyone, or if they have any questions, please don't hesitate. I know there's going to be a slight delay.
Fictional fantasy setting.
That's wonderful. Well, not wonderful that you had COVID.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you're going to bring something out of COVID, something creative is good. So that the reality show turned into your books, and you just released the second one, if I'm not mistaken.
I did. The Disappearing Cabin.
So do you want to tell us?
So you see me cutting out a lot of this blank space.
Mm-hmm.
That's not really doing much of anything other than making things easier for me to see visually, right? Because really there's nothing there. Like if I solo the track, and let's see. So if I solo the track, there's nothing there. It's just background noise, right? So that's just audio garbage that I can take out. It just helps things sound better.
Leads into hours.
Like it's not even anything that you may actually be able to perceive.
Right.
It's just out of there. Then I don't have to worry about
Leads into hours. So I got to write this like epic, like new fantasy world.
And so we've already done a few edits. So I'm going to take a second here and
new fantasy world. Like an idiot, I made it unmappable because I love that. So I actually, there's a part in book 2 that is mappable. So there's a map.
We like a map in our fantasies.
Everybody wants the maps. Yes. Including myself.
I'm going to totally make a laugh track.
Unique about
Nothing wrong with. I mean, again, this is your podcast. Do what you want with it.
So I asked in the chat how everybody felt about hearing their own voice, because I'm hearing my own voice a lot tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And we had some stuff. I actually think this was fun. But my co-host, woohoo.
You may want to look into your co-host, and I don't know. I got nothing for you on that. I'm just the editor.
Sometimes you just got to suffer.
So yeah.
So what do you think is unique about the YA literature
So
market?
again, you got a little on there.
About the YA.
If I take that out,
Unique about the YA literature market.
that really help? No.
No.
You know, it's a taste thing, but again,
About the YA literature market, how it just appeal. I once upon a time I could speak correctly. It's not today. I haven't.
now again, if you don't want that in there, I will
that's
take
fine.
that out. But
No.
most people, you're human. You're gonna stumble on your words, and it's funny.
It's sort of
I
like,
haven't had coffee. That's my problem.
Well, there you go.
And how it
See?
appeals to both. She's
Just gotta say-
drinking her coffee right now.
Of course.
I got to work
feels
coffee in
like-
there.
She's drinking her coffee right now. How it-
Rubbing
How
it
it-
in.
you
Rubbing it in.
are. I love the cup, by the way. How it appeals to both.
So, do you want that in?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Because
Yeah, I'm a chatty Kathy, and so I know that it's going to be like that, and that's just kind of me.
what I'm doing this as an example.
Yes, so you would want to
So-
know that might embarrass somebody else.
If you're not happy with that, I might just take all this out,
How it appeals to both.
and that's the magic of audio,
Appeals to both. How it appeals to both,
right?
and how it appeals.
Hi, DBZ941210. Crap, I got your number wrong. Hi. Unless I'm mistaken, I think he's one of the people that joined our Discord recently.
I believe so. Welcome aboard.
Problem. How it appeals to both young adults as well as those of us who.
So again, you can do that. I'm gonna take all that out or put all that back in because you like that.
Yeah. I mean, I have some friends or faculty members that really heavily edit their videos. Meanwhile, my cat is walking across the screen.
Well,
And again, it's all
It's personal preference and personality and
all
brand.
dependent on the tone of what your podcast wants to be.
Absolutely. If this was building bold connections,
Right.
that would completely go away because that's a business professional, university podcast. It's got to sound perfect.
At the same time, I may take that out anyway because it, at least with Goblins and Growlers early on, they're much better about it now. Sometimes that would lead into like a 20-minute off-topic discussion about absolutely nothing.
Oh, yeah, no, that would need to go.
Right. So, that's what's we call editing for content. If you just went off and talked about your dog for 20 minutes,
It might need to
Along with
go.
but that's not the point of this podcast.
Right. So I just want to shout out to Craig, who is a 19-year podcaster here. So you are stuck with him after 19 years. That's longer than most marriages.
I mean, that's
Us who
Yeah.
are older.
well, I definitely there are adult characters because
and
part
just
of
so
book-
everyone knows, I'm not going to go through this. I'm not going to edit the entire episode here. We're actually running a little bit over,
Alright.
so we'll go for a little bit longer, just for any last bit of questions or anything like that.
But I think some great, really understanding
But-
the tone of your podcast and the brand that you want to have behind it kind of can help you answer some of the questions about what to leave in there or not leave in.
Right. So actually, I think this is a good time. We'll just I'm gonna stop it there. I just did a save as, and just go over some of the things we've covered already just kind of recap everything.
Awesome.
One thing too is when you're editing, take breaks. Okay, take breaks. I set a timer. I didn't do it tonight, but I set it when I start editing. I set an hour timer. Okay, when that timer goes off, I stop what I'm doing. I save. I get up. I walk away from the computer. Okay,
That's smart.
Depending on how I feel, I may just take a quick 5-minute break and then go back to it, or I may just stop, call it for the day, and come back the next day. So, take breaks. If it needs to be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever, hour works for me. Usually once I hit about an hour, that's when I'm kind of starting to get tired.
So I do the Pomodoro method, and I will do that even when I'm not editing, when I'm doing other things, to remind me to take a freaking break.
Oh, shit.
We love that sound.
Yeah, my soda. I apparently dropped my soda and forgot. So,
Oh.
yeah. So Pomodoro technique is perfect for that. 30 minutes on, 10-minute break, 30 minutes on. That's kind of what I do just on extended timeline. But whatever works for you. Don't edit and mix the same night. Okay. So I didn't really cover it here. Is I kind of like to mix as I go. If I need to adjust the volumes on certain parts, I will. It didn't really come up on this, which is great. But I will, once I finish editing, I will usually wait a day and then go back and re-listen to the mix the next day.
Okay.
Because you get ear fatigue. Okay.
Truth.
When you're listening to the same thing for an hour, it all just kind of runs together. Give yourself a break, come back the next day, listen to it. If you got to make changes, again, list it on different environments. I'm doing this primarily on headphones, but I also have stereo speakers in my studio. Check it on earbuds, things like that if you have the time, because that's going to give you the best idea of how your mix is going to sound in different locations. Yeah, ear fatigue is real, and it happens much sooner than you think. I think like 45 minutes is like scientifically what the average is. So, we're human and we try to push ourselves way harder.
So as ADD, I had no idea about ear fatigue because, we hyperfocus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason I use Pomodoro is to stop me from the hyperfocus.
Oh no, I hyperfocus too. I can sit. I used to with Blood Crow. I used to sit down for like 3 hours straight and edit, and come back and it sounds like crap. Okay.
Gotcha.
If you're doing, we haven't talked too much about like a narrative podcast, for me it was Blood Crow, or Welcome to Night Vale is another one that's very popular that people will know about. If you're doing sound effects, I recommend doing your rough edit first, then edit it, then go back, edit in your sound effects, because then you can adjust things a lot easier as you go. And you get a clearer, it just helps give you kind of a clearer mind. So, and then I would go. So what I do is I do a rough edit of the vocal takes. Then I'll come back. I'll do an edit with the sound effects, and then I'll go back and then do music after that.
Okay.
So we're doing this all in one because this is a talking head podcast. It's much more free flowing. But if I'm doing a scripted show or something with very heavy effects, stuff like that, that's what I would do.
I'm going to answer DBZ's question in the Twitch chat, just to let him know.
So just to recap a lot of the talking points that I covered earlier, and then I think we'll call it a night. So first thing is always communicating with the client, finding out what they want their podcast to sound like. Are they going for something super business-like, or are they going for something more friendly and warm? that is important because that will inform a lot of the editing decisions you make. If you're a client and you're recording the files, label your file names. Okay, that helps your editor save a ton of time and a ton of headaches, because then I know, okay, what each file does. If you just give me audio 1 and audio 2, you just cost yourself more money because that's going to take me longer, and I'm going to charge you for that.
Right.
If we're doing, and editors charge hourly. Okay, don't charge a flat rate unless you know that you can flat rate each time. So, for example, Tyra gave me, I think, about an hour and a half of audio. Not even. It's like probably about an hour of audio. So I know I can turn around that audio in about 3 hours, pretty confidently. So that's this episode. But if the next episode, like her and her guest just hit it off, and you go talking for 3 hours, then that's way more audio I have to edit, and it's going to take me longer. So I'm going to charge you by the hour for that.
Yep. And you can negotiate that. Like if you know that your podcast is always going to be between 45 and 50 minutes because that's what you're shooting for,
right,
then, you can figure that out.
Right. But that's where you need to discuss that with the client, because and if they go 3 hours and they want to keep all that, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
Or if they want to cut it up into multiple episodes, like I've done that before, where we had enough where we could split the episode into 2 separate episodes.
And sometimes that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It helps you get ahead on your content. Helps relieve pressure on you and your editor, because that's 2 episodes. So now we can, work out the next episodes or what have you. Color code your tracks and label them. All right. So like, again, I use red for music, yellow for intro/outro stuff, and then blue for the talent and the guests. Okay. Use whatever color works for you, but having the tracks labeled will visually help you to see what you're trying to do, what you're working on. Okay. Set up templates. Save your templates. If you have a certain way of doing the show, incorporate that into your templates. Again, I'm going to re-show this. Sorry, I had to open a new file. So if I open up a blank, ignore this track. If I open up a blank file, I can open up my template. Excuse me. I can open up my template. And then boom, everything's back the way you want it. That saves you a ton of time. You don't have to reset up your tracks. You don't have to reset up your music and intros and outros and everything like that. You can always edit stuff in or take it out if needed, but having that baseline starting makes things a lot easier, saves you a lot of time. Let's see. Editing, listening for pauses, ums and uhs. A lot of that is really just based on what the customer wants and personal preference. If it's a very lighthearted conversational, then you may want to leave those in there. If it's very business, you want to try to cut those out. I will not sacrifice flow to just take out ums and uhs. Okay. Sometimes that's a natural part of our speech.
Yep.
I emphasize natural flow of conversation, even with something that's very professional and very business oriented, because you want to enjoy listening to it. You want to listen to 2 people talking, not 2 AI robots talking. At least I hope not.
We'll cross our fingers on that one.
Right. So, constantly save. If you can save it as a new project name each time, do that. That just makes things easier on an organizational level.
And I would say figure out your naming system. Like from before you start, figure out how you're going to name each episode so that you name it in the same, using that same template, even on how you're naming and showing your versions.
Yeah.
So you can easily look at it.
Yeah. So, like, for example, I got show, episode number, session number.
Yep.
You may want to incorporate the dates if that's important. Just whatever it is, set it and use it. Because if you have to go back to I need to go back to episode 2 and pull this section of conversation, because I want to put that in the intro or something like that. Those references keep you doing that.
Oh, and that's true for any files that you're naming. Figure out. It has saved my butt so many times.
Yep. Try to get the best possible audio from your client. If there's problems, you're just going to have to deal with them. Again, we had the clicks in there. Thankfully, I was able to edit those out with the tool that I had, with a plugin I have. Sometimes you just got to work with what you got. If it's not perfect, you get it on the next time.
Sometimes you got to go with the flow.
Yeah. And if there's a serious problem, then talk to your client / coworker / whatever. I've had times where I told the Goblins and Growlers guys, like, guys, you have no content in here.
Whoopsie.
I can edit. I can put this together. It's not going to be an interesting episode. I think we should shelve this one. And that's where you build your relationship with your customers, and I'm using customers, but if it's a project you're working on with coworkers, with, co-producers or vocal talent and everything like that, it's the same thing. I'm just using customers as a generic term, or customers.
Yeah.
So again, communication, if you can get the fresh file, do that. If not, then you just work with what you got and you give them the best product you possibly can. And then you work out, hey, here's how to do this going forward. Sometimes you have to, sometimes you have to educate your clients of like, no, this is how you do it going forward. So that's pretty much everything I think we've covered. Tyra, did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to emphasize? Or
No, I think you did great. I think that we didn't re-mention that starting clap when you start the audio. That was brilliant. And I'm going to do that from now on. So that's not the biggest takeaway for me tonight, but that's going to be the takeaway that's going to make my life easier when I have to do this.
So and we'll just recover that real quick. What you can do if you're recording remotely, because everyone pretty much is, or you're doing video recording, you can literally just you can do what's called a clap sync. Okay. Film, television uses this all the time with like the clackers and everything. So, you can set up a clock and go, okay, we're going to clap in 3, 2, 1. Clap again in 3, 2, 1. Okay, and clap again in 3, 2, 1. We have 3 clap sync. If Tyler's
if I was paying attention instead of typing.
Well, no, she would be clapping with me, but
yes,
that gives your editor something to sync it up to, and you're in the ballpark. That way, they don't have to go line by line and edit every single little bit because it's off.
Yes, or just pray that it works, which is what Tyra did in the last 2 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine. Sometimes you do what you got to do.
Yeah, but you got to make it. You got to. Running joke the app is not updated. It doesn't update till like just before DragonCon.
Yeah, but everybody take a drink now. I'm going to stop sharing your screen because I think we're done there. Mm-hmm. And can you tell the lovely people where they can find you?
You can pretty much find me at Groovis for Life on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch streams. Twitch, I stream music composition and video games.
And if you're at Dragon Con, you can find him.
If you're in Dragon Con, you'll see me pulling. Well, never mind, because I don't have any hair
As
left.
we say, you have no hair.
You'll
The
see
track
me,
took care of that.
You'll see me around. I had no hair before the track, thankfully. You can also find me in our Discord.
That's true.
With tons of other awesome digital creators who do this on a daily basis. There's a link tree. You can find the Discord there. Join up, talk to, communicate,
We're
network.
cool. Also, you can get a preview of the programming for Dragon Con.
Yep, you can see the schedule. You get, find out how to get on panels, stuff like that. That's mostly closed this year, but always for the future.
Truth. Well, let me tell you what's happening next on Be Awesome Together. So next week on July 24th, Charles and I will be here with Seska Small from the Fantasy Lit Track. Let me make sure I got the track name right. Yes, Fantasy Lit Track. She has done amazing things since she took over that track with I think 2 months notice or 80 days, something crazy like that. But they have a Page to the Stage cosplay contest, and they also have something called the Fantasy Gather, which is amazing, and we're going to be talking about that. So we got another track director dropping by on July 24th. On July 13th, I have 31st. I don't even know what day it is. I have no clue what we're doing. Just going to be honest, but there'll be something fun and exciting. But on August 7th, and this is from Charles earlier, I'm going to just pop this up here while I read it. He will be doing an origin story of the rock god of podcasting. So this is so Charles coded. He'll be joined by Andy and Randy of Two Guys, One Brain, and a special guest to celebrate his 20th anniversary of being in digital media, which is pretty cool to have been doing it for 20 years.
Wow.
2G1B gave me his start, and they will be sharing memories of the real early days working with me. I have a feeling we're going to be laughing.
That's going to be entertaining.
It's going to be entertaining. So show up. This is going to be August 7th. Show up to hear more about the rock god of podcasting and how he started that. And then I have no idea what's happening August 14th, but on August 21st, I'm going to remind Scott right now that me, him, and Charles will be here talking about Dragon Con, the programming for the track, and what we'll be doing.
I got to put that on my calendar.
Put it on the calendar. It's the Wednesday before Dragon, and we may actually go live the Wednesday night of Dragon Con. I haven't decided yet because I know who's going to have to do it if it happens. So we'll see. But I'm excited. Shane and I are actually going to go to Dragon and start on Wednesday this year. So I'm excited about that. But if you have anything that you want to share with the track, make sure you drop in the comments or go over to our Discord where the conversation is always continuing. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. Scott, you're awesome.
Well, thank you for having me. Hopefully you guys learned something from this.
I certainly did. But I'm a hot mess is what I learned.
Well, everybody's a hot mess when they first start.
So thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace out. Oh, I should hit the end stream button.
Probably.
I'm so smart. Bye, guys. 2 buttons. I have to hit